right, today we are moving on to our last section in Chapter 7, and we're going to talk about interest. You are going to be able to, after today, calculate simple and compound interest. Simple interest you've been exposed to as sixth graders with Miss Nemir or Mr. Brinkman, whoever you had. And you have the simple interest formula. Interest is equal to PRT. I equals PRT. That means your interest is equal to your principal times your rate times your time. Okay, remember, anytime letters are sticking together, it means multiply. So interest is the amount of money paid to you or to the bank, okay, amount of money that is paid to us or paid to the bank for lending or depositing money. Maybe you remember that from BizTown too. There's a lesson on that. Banks love it when you use them for depositing money because they use that money to help keep the bank running. So they want savings accounts going on. So you earn interest off of your money. Your money's just hanging out at a bank, and then you make money based on the amount of money you have hanging out. Banks lend you money. They lend you money because they make money off of you. Most of the time, they don't lend you money for free. They're like, okay, you want to buy this beautiful house? I'll give you $320,000. However, you need to pay me some interest to borrow it, okay? Principal is the initial amount that you borrow, the initial amount you borrow, or the initial amount that you deposit. So you have two situations going on with the bank. You're either borrowing money or depositing money. Rate is expressed as a decimal, and time is expressed in years. That's very important vocab aligned with this last lesson. Now let's practice it. I equals PRT. That's what you need to know. I equals PRT. Let's say that we put $500 into a savings account that earns 5% simple interest. How much do we have after 3 years? I just plug it in. I don't know how much interest I earned. I need to figure out I have what I deposited plus the interest I earned. So it's like the principal plus the interest that we earned. So the interest, is equal to my principal times my interest rate times my time. Plugging that in to your handy dandy calculator. Is $75. That's how much interest I earned just having my money sit there. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to leave it. Okay, pay attention. So the interest that I earned is $75. The total amount of money that I have is how much I initially deposited. So my total money is what I deposited plus my interest, which is $575. Okay, you get a car loan. Let's say that you turn 16 and you're like, I kind of want to get this exact car, but your parents are like, I'm only going to chip in like $1,200. So you need to get a loan, right? And let's say you get a loan, you want to get a loan for $4,500. Well, the bank doesn't just give you $4,500. They are not just going to give it to you. Okay? So what we need to do, the bank says, I will give you this $4,500, but you're paying 9% interest on it. How much interest did we pay? Just the interest did we pay if we took the loan out for 3 years. So, interest is PRT, which is, what's my principal on this one? What did I start with? 4,500. What's my interest rate? 0.09. And how long? Okay, then you just plug it in. and that the bank earned $1,215 from me just for me borrowing the money. Okay? All right, and that's just the interest. That's not how much I ended up paying for the car, because how much I paid for the car would be what I borrowed and added to it the interest I paid the bank for borrowing it to me. Next one, month examples. Remember that time is represented as years. Remember, for month examples, since everything's related to years, we want to turn into a fraction of a year. Easier put in a calculator and what MCA will give us. Turn it into a decimal of a year. You can't see my eye. There's an eye there. So 4 months is really 4 out of the 12 months, right? Which is 1 out of the 3 months, which is 0.3 repeat. 6 months is 6 out of the 12 months, which is a half of a year, which is 0.5. 8 months is 8 out of the 12 months, right? Which is what? 2/3, which is 0.6 repeat. And 10 months. 10 out of the 12. 5 out of the 6. I have no idea what that is as a decimal. 0.83 repeat. Just repeat the 3. 18 months. 18 out of 12. I would turn that into a mixed number. 1 and what remains? 6/12. 1.5 years. It's just easier to punch into a calculator when you have decimals versus a fraction. 20 months, 20 out of 12. What did we get? 1 and 8/12. 1.6 repeat. Okay? So you need to know that. There's questions that are related to that. Let's say that we want to get a new computer. Your family's like, you get into high school and you're like, I want a MacBook. I really want a MacBook. Your parents are like, I am not paying for it. And you're like, you know what? I'll do it because you get a job. You get a job at Caribou. You get a job at the movie theater. Okay? And you're like, I'll pay for it. Will you take the loan out for me and I'll pay it all? Credit card companies love that because they earn a lot. You youngsters, they earn like 22% interest off of you, which adds up to a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot at first, but it adds up. So let's see how much you earn in interest in 4 months. Again, I equals PRT. And this is simple interest, simple formula, simple interest. It's usually compounded interest that we'll get to in a minute. So 4 months is 4 out of 12. And what did we get? 2/3. Whoops, 2/3, which is 0.6 repeating. Good job. 1/3, which is 0.3 repeat. So I'm going to get 1,000 times 0.22 times 0.3 repeat. Now here's how I do this in my calculator. How I do it is backwards, because you don't want to round this 0.3. Because 0.3 goes on for infinity. So in my calculator, I go 1 divided by 3, and I hit equals, and then it's got the repeating decimal. And then I say times that by 1,000, times it by 0.22, and that's 73.33. So in 4 months, you already had to pay an extra $70 to borrow that computer or get money for it. And that's only off of a $1,000 loan. In 6 months, let's see how much we'd have to pay. So that's a half of a year, so 6 months is 0.5. 1,000 times 0.22 times 0.5. $110. Just half of a year, you just pay an extra $110. And let's say you took 18 months to pay off that computer. How much interest did you pay? And again, this is the least likely because it's simple interest. Most things don't run off of that. So you would do 1,000 times 0.22. That's a year and a half, 1.5. And I get $330. And I think there's a lot better things I could spend my money on with $330 versus a company just to buy a computer from them. Okay, these next examples are quite frequently the kinds that you'll see as a 7th grader. They'll just give you everything and then you just plug it in. That's all you gotta do. You will not be given a percent button on the MCA, so you gotta make sure that you know how to convert that percent into a decimal. So I say my interest is 5,000 times 0.0325 times 4, and what'd you get as the answer? 680? 650. Okay, so 650. I earned $650 just in 4 years by my money, just chilling out there. Well, I guess we don't know if it was a deposit or a loan. Okay, the next one, it would be 1,500 times 0.095 times what? 2. Be careful. Times 2. And what do you get as the final answer? Okay. Next one. Principal is 800. Interest is 7%. Time is 8 months. So I have 800 times 0.07. That's 8 out of 12 months, which is 2 out of 3, 2/3. So in my calculator, I put 2 divided by 3 first. I hit enter, and then I go times 0.07 times 800. And what's the answer? 37. So 37.33. Remember, money is cents. So round to the nearest cent. Principal is 12,000. Interest is only 1%. It's not very much. Time is 60 months. That's 5 years, isn't it? Yeah. So this is 5 years. So 12,000 times 0.01 times 5. What do I get? 600. Just 600? Yeah. Well, that doesn't seem like much. Okay. The next one, you will want to know how to, they'll have a couple quarter or fraction percents, and you just want to make sure, because your final goal is to take a percent and convert it to a decimal. So any fraction of a percent, you need to turn to a decimal. This would be 3.25%. That way you can turn it to 0.0325. Okay. 4 1/3% is 4.3 repeating. And in my calculator, I would just write 0.0433, and I would hit 3. If I can't write the exact, I hit 3 as many times as I can. Okay. All right, 8 2/3%, that's a 0.6. That would be 8.6%, which is 0.08666666 all the way over. And 1 4/5, what is that? 8? 1.8%, 0.018. So that concludes the simple interest portion of this lesson. Simple interest, done. Okay? We're going to move on to compound.